Hello, YouTube fans, here again. And today I'm talking about Chuck Norris and his films. Why not this one? Firewalker. That's right, Firewalker. Come out in 1986. And what can I say about Firewalker? It's a dudding. It's like what would happen if Chuck Norris got the role for Indiana Jones. Now we all know that in the 80s there was a lot of these spin-offs of Indiana Jones. You had King Solomon's Mind, you had The Foil Up, King Solomon's Mind, City of Gold, you had Romance in the Stone. The list goes on. The list goes on, and this was one of them. And it's kind of sad, really, in one way, because you've got three actors who are no longer with us. Just one being Chuck Norris, one being I can't remember his name right, so to tell me his name isn't right, Lonton Jr. If he knows his name wrong, I apologise. I'm very rubbish with his name. Lon James Jr., right? And then you've got the Indian guy. If you remember him in Poltergeist 2, you know who I'm on about, which was his last role. You could definitely see he was ill when he was doing this film. His last role being in Firewalker. And it's like I say, it's like an Indiana Jones spin off, wannabe, so on. And it starts off, you've got our heroes in the desert, they get taxed by one of the villains, and they manage to get a lucky escape because the idiot leaves a buckle. And what happens is the buckle of water falls on to line them up. They're tied up on this rope and they manage to get out. And you got another actor who's sadly no longer with us. If you remember the one with the big biceps, he was in the original Predator. He was the one what cut his chest like that, and you see him get killed off screen by the Predator. The one where he says, there's one of the attack cards says, "Bullshit, you're not scared of any man. There's something out there, and it ain't no man. We're all gonna die." Well, that's that character. And he's basically what they call the firewalker. What he does is he can crush your head to the bone. I do know he's also sadly no longer with us. May he also rest. There's a lot of history about him one day. I'll get that on the road. But yeah, so there's a lot of well-known actors who, like I say, they're sadly no longer with us. May they all rest. But I love this film. I like the offensive feel. I'm a sucker for them Indiana Jones wannabes. You got one actress, very attractive in that era, very pretty. She was well known for being in Fast Gordon. She's been in a lot of other things, and she's like a main character. And they're basically looking for this magical knife. It helps them, it's just some things. I like the fact they're going in tunes, which is that indie feel. And there's a bit in the bar, you've got this big guy, and he's kicking off with Chuck Norris, which is basically typical of a lot of Chuck Norris films. In fact, in any Chuck Norris film, there'll always be somebody who gives our main man shit in a bar. And there's a bit of a good fight scene there. And I like Joseph Jr. I hope he got his name right. I think they both hit it off brilliantly. As a team, they hit it off. And it's quite sad they didn't make a Firewalker 2 or another one with them in. I'd love to have made a trinity of these, but sad to say, it's never going to happen. Never. And it's sad. And like I say, you've got the main villain, he's cutting people's heads, he gets his die, does the same with him. You got one, I'm assuming she got eaten by a snake, one of them big type patrol birds, then it's off steam. And I do love the bit where Chuck Norris is insulting the door and she barges in and he says, "This is Bond?" Oh, I didn't know the walls were so thin. No, your mouth's too big. So there's some bits that do chuckle and laugh. It does have a lot of humour. You get one character. It's funny enough, bringing a lot of the Indiana Jones rip-offs. He was in King Solomon's Mind. And you may remember him as Bios, if I can remember his name right. Not Bagel, that was the finger. I'll get his name right eventually. Not Martyrs. Can't it's annoying me. It's fucking annoying me when I don't think of the character's name, but it'll come to me. But you might remember him in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he was also with Indiana Jones, and The Last Crusade. He's in this, and you've got the idea he's a mate of Chuck Norris, and they're having a drink and so on, and you got the idea he's never going to see him again. I do like the bit where they're on the car and they're paddling in this water. I do love that. There's a bit where you think Toxic Tuna has been eaten by a choc. That's not the case, as you find out halfway through the film. Then he enters the tomb. We got a lot of taps. They managed to find out Tossic Jr. is still alive. And I love the bit where he's flinging across his boiling water to save him. I like the bit with his Indians firing darts at him and you get a lucky shoot. My only issue is the Indian dives. I'll say it out of Poltergeist too. I do like his character, the bits he's in it. It's hard to watch because you can definitely tell he was dying when he did this film. You could see he was all thin, jaunted. He really looked ill. He really, really looked ill when he was doing this one. You can definitely tell it was the last film he did. But the bits what he's in, he's there. He really does a good performance. So I like the bit where they get in the dagger. Again, Chuck Norris has a date fight with our main villain. Gets a lucky hit, manages to kill him. Because he's about to sacrifice the girl. Saves the day. He gets the dagger and for some reason the villain goes on fire. Then he walks off. Again, you get a typical sequel bait ending in the bar. Rewind all the way back when from the beginning, the main film had him tied up. Well, he's there in the bar and he says something. They're far away, they don't see him, but he's there. But it's your typical sequel bait ending. And I fucking wish they made a sequel. Because I would love to see a sequel. Why not? We had 3 missing in actions. We had 2 of the Delta forces. The third one I'm not going to say because it didn't have Chuck Norris in the third one. So you could say 2 with Chuck Norris. So why not? I'd have loved to have seen an utility, right offence, and a utility. I would have loved to have seen an offence Sartor with Chuck Norris, like an Indiana Jones character, with Dossett Jr., with different adventure stories. It mustn't have made that much money. It mustn't have been successful. And it's the same because I love this film. I didn't see any faults in this film. When it comes to ratings, fuck it, why not? A 15-star rating for me because they don't make films like this anymore. I am sick to death of seeing DC comic films. This is my DC comic film. I'm sick of seeing Marvel films. If you like them, power to you. I'm happy. It makes the world interesting and not everyone likes the same. I'm sick of seeing comedies what are not funny and horror movies with boo-hoo jump scares you see a mile away. I like seeing films like this. These were my DC comic films. When I grew up watching Indiana Jones, and I'm not going to call it Indiana Jones Raiders. To me, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark. They were my DC comics. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, John Ford Van Damme, some of Bruce Lee before he passed on, Jackie Chan, Chuck Norris, may he rest. These were my DC comics. These were my Marvel, my DC comic films. And they don't make films like this anymore. So without it to, fuck it. A 15-star rating from me. But into them, be smart, be safe. See you later.